Welcome to our first recap for the ACP-120 Jira Administration for Cloud, where we're going to cover the exam, how we're going to learn together, and some basics around projects and spaces that we need to understand. Hello, my name is Rob, and I am running a series on learning everything we need to know to pass the ACP-120 Jira Administration for Cloud certification offered by Atlassian. This is our first recap. These are things I do after all of the live sessions, which typically happen on a Monday. Just before the next session, this recap is available. So if you are watching this live, right after this, another session will happen. If you're watching this recorded, check out the links below for more sessions, including additional recaps and other live sessions you can get to. I created these recaps because folks were asking for a single place they could go without all the back and forth in chat to quickly understand what they might have missed or to get up to speed. So here we're going to cover everything that happened in session 1. Session 1 was focused around what is the exam? How are we going to learn together? And then the first basics around projects. Now, one important note about the exam, it was last refreshed before the terms space and work item were in major use. This means when you take the exam, you might see the word project instead of space and issue instead of work item. I will do my best to use the term project and issue here, although I'll probably make some mistakes. Just keep in mind you'll see the old terms on the exam. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to jump into Atlassian's website and learn a bit about the exam. Here we are at community.atlassian.com, and we're going to go up to Learning. Under Learning, we're going to click on Credentials, and then scroll down. We're looking for the Atlassian Certified Professional, the ACP series, specifically Jira Admin for Cloud. This is the name of the exam. ACP-120 is a designation for the actual exam in their system. You'll hear me use both to refer to it. First, we're going to open up the exam details. Everything in here is important to understand because it helps you determine if this exam is right for you. This particular exam is mainly for your Jira administrator. This is the person who's configuring workflows, providing guidance on how to best use Jira, solving challenges, etc. When most people think of an admin in Jira, this is the person they think of. That said, you do need to know some about space administration as well. Importantly, right in the middle, we have the exam breakdown. This will show us what % of the exam will be comprised of which topics. In general, this means that 25 to 30% of our questions are about access permissions and security, 5 to 10% about notifications, etc. This will come back later as we talk about how do we plan to study. But this is everything on the exam. Even more important, this PDF breaks down every single section of the exam. For example, 28% of the exam is access permissions and security, specifically things about appropriate admin privileges, global permissions, etc. This document is a great guide to studying and understanding what's on the exam. Not only does it have specific bullet points around what each subsection is, it has links to Atlassian documentation describing them. This should be part of your study planning. This should be part of how you prepare for the exam because it gives you specific guidance on what will be on it. Now, it doesn't tell you specific questions or specific answers. Again, it will be a mix of all these things, but use this when you plan out how to study and use this to review and quiz yourself on where maybe you should improve your skill. For example, if you don't know how to determine what project type to use, you should focus a little bit more here. So I use this as a good way of assessing my ability and where I should focus more. Going back to our site, we also have more specifics. Right here, I can see that the cost of the exam is $250. I will eventually publish a full-length course, 8 to 10 hours of video that includes an exam voucher for $200. Be on the lookout for that later. Also some links below to other courses I have, but you get up to 3 hours to answer 75 questions. We'll talk more about exam strategy as we go, but this is a lot of time. So many times I get anxious around the time on the exam. Keep in mind you have almost 3 minutes per question, and a 63% will get you a pass. So this is the exam. Now we're going to talk a bit about how we'll learn together. I will be using this breakdown as well as some other material to break out all of our sessions. There are 11 one-hour sessions I do live, plus these recaps. Another important resource besides my live sessions, if you go to start prepping for free, all of this is free study material. So my sessions will give you a lot of great information. It's not enough to pass though. You need to get hands-on. You need to get more information from courses like this that are entirely free. So keep in mind, studying with me is a great step. However, it's not all you're going to need. So in addition to coming to my sessions, make sure you set aside time to go through the free learning on Atlassian's site. In addition to my live sessions, I also have a free companion course. This link will be down in the notes in the description. But if you sign up for this free study companion course, you will get access to one section of the course for each live session we do. That includes a quiz, that includes a lab, that includes additional information to help you learn and to cement your knowledge. This was based on feedback from my learners, so this is now available for free. Every section will have a quiz, labs, etc., again, to help you learn better. Additionally, I have a WhatsApp community and a Discord community for live chat. You can always chat with me in the sessions. However, join us in Discord or WhatsApp, whichever one you prefer, or both, to get regular updates from me as well as access to me and the rest of the community. You can also find me over on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect and just shoot me a message anytime. My goal is to make sure you feel supported and successful. So that's how we're going to learn together. Our live sessions Monday, our recaps before those sessions, all recorded, plus the free companion course, plus Discord and WhatsApp, plus LinkedIn. So that's a bit about how we're going to learn together and the exam. Now we're going to cover some of the topics we need to know about the exam. The first is types of projects. In Jira Cloud, there are two kinds of projects. I'm going to go and click Create a Space. Again, the term will be different. And the first thing I need to see are these templates. As a Jira admin, I typically have the ability to make new projects or spaces. In Jira Cloud, we get access to templated projects. These are pre-configured projects that include all the settings to support Kanban or Scrum or general service management. For this example, I'll pick on Scrum. Keep in mind that everything configured in here can be changed by you, the Jira admin. Once you click Use the Template, it's going to ask you some questions. The first is to give it a name. The name is important because this is what a human will look at. I might call this JQuil Project Planning. Next, we're going to pick the type of space. This is important. A company-managed space requires a Jira admin to perform a lot of the configuration, changing workflows, adding work item types, etc. A team-managed space gives a lot of that control to the space admin. However, in a team-managed space, there's limitations. For example, you can only have one board. Work items from that space all show up on that board. There's also some challenges when we choose to convert this to a company-managed space, or if there's custom fields in here, they can cause challenges with integrations and other things. So typically, I'm going to be choosing a company-managed space, but to pass this exam, we need to know about these differences. Team-managed spaces are controlled by the space admins. Company-managed spaces require a Jira admin, and their configurations can be shared. This makes it much easier at scale. Maybe I have 10 projects that all need the same setup. Use a company-managed space, and I can copy the configuration. And I can even see here there's a checkbox to share configurations with a different project. Next is the space key. This is very important. It is a unique identifier for the space. Space admins can change the name of the space. This is for humans looking at it. However, Jira relies on this key to do a lot of things. The key can be changed. However, it has a lot of downstream implications. Typically, you do not want to change your space key because if you do, things can break. Links to Jira work items will still work properly. However, if anyone has typed in JPP into a filter, into a dashboard, into an integration, or if they've typed it in manually anywhere else, that will not update. So if I have to change this space key, some things will be automatically fixed, but other things will break. And that can make this very challenging. So typically we don't want to change the key at all. If you change the key, you also cannot use that key somewhere else unless you delete the entire project. So changing the key is not a way to reuse the prior one unless you delete everything. The key is still reserved. These are implications we have to understand. It probably will show up on the exam somewhere and is also a practical consideration. Typically, when I make a new space for someone, I ask them what's the name, what's it for, and what is the key, and I put in bold under that, we do not change the key after we deploy. Something like that. So once we're ready, I can click Next. I'll be asked to add other administrators or other people. We'll cover more about roles and permissions later. And then I'll click Done. And now I have my space. We will talk a lot more about how to configure these and what a lot of these options are, but today we covered how to make a new space, the types of spaces, team versus company managed, and the importance of the space key. Again, don't change those. So that is a recap of our first session. Again, we mostly covered how we're going to learn together and how I can support you. I will encourage you, though, to share what you know, to jump into different communities and share your knowledge. But keep in mind, studying with me is not enough to pass the exam. You have to study on your own. You have to get experience. You have to get exposure to different perspectives and ideas. I will do my best to help you and make sure you're successful. But keep in mind, you got to do some of the work too. Check out the links below for all of those resources I mentioned, Discord, WhatsApp, the free course, our playlist, some other things, my LinkedIn. And please, if you like this, hit the like button and subscribe. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in another session soon.